Though Apple hosts many events this year, the iPad Mini 7 is still a rare but anticipated addition to Apple's portfolio. Still stuck with the 6th Gen iPad Mini from 2021, the Little 8 tablet series is a great complement to a household. Though smaller than its cousins, it is more than a smartphone and easy to carry around. Apple did not kindly provide us with a small-sized packaging. We had hoped to see the iPad Mini 7 with the iPhone 16 range in September 2024. Neither did the Mini arrive with the most recent iPad models, including iPad Air 6 and iPad Pro 2024. Rest assured, however, a makeover is anticipated not too far off. We thus compile what we know about the iPad Mini 7 release date, features, colors, and pricing. Let's hope Apple doesn't keep smaller size enthusiasts waiting too much longer. October is likely to bring the iPad Mini 7. Apple holds its cards close to its chest, but indications point to another Apple event just waiting to happen. Normally near to the truth, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman predicts an October event with the 7th Gen iPad Mini, along with maybe a Mac Mini and an M4 MacBook Pro. An iPad Mini 7 introduction in October is reinforced by sources that suggest that the 2021 iPad Mini model, the final tiny model available, has little supply remaining. Trusted Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo claimed that iPad Mini mass production is likely to commence in the second half of 2024. It is not feasible that shipping will be delayed until nearer Christmas 2024 or the early part of 2025. But manufacturing issues normally get recognized, and it looks calm on the supply chain side at the moment. We provided tentative not to October. The iPad Mini 6 was introduced in September 2021 with a fresh new design, an A15 Bionic CPU, and 5G connectivity. But in a world where iPad Pros have M4 CPUs and more RAM than MacBooks, the specifications of the iPad Mini have not aged well. Apple has integrated its M1, M2, and M4 CPUs throughout its iPad line, although the iPad Mini 6 now utilizes the A15 Bionic, which many may recall from the iPhone 13. So a CPU update is long overdue, and the iPad Mini 7 specifications need a boost. According to Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, the iPad Mini 7 will contain a CPU update, likely via 16 or a 17 Pro chip. However, being an eternal optimist, I am optimistic it will feature at least an M1 or M2 chip to match it with everything else in the iPad family. If an A17 Pro comes inside, it opens the door for Apple Intelligence. A Mini with artificial intelligence. Count us in. The new tiny iPad 2024 edition is likely to maintain its LCD screen rather than upgrading to a 120Hz ProMotion or OLED screen, which are reserved for Apple's high-end tablets like the iPad Pro. Instead, Apple wants to fix the jelly scrolling problem, a prominent defect in the current iPad Mini 6, by design adjustments such as rotating the display component. This problem, notably visible while scrolling over text in portrait mode, provides the appearance of one side of the screen updating quicker than the other. By applying these improvements, Apple wants to increase visual stability without fundamentally revamping the display technology. Although not a priority for the iPad Mini, it will certainly gain changes to its camera after many years without an upgrade. Rumored enhancements include a 12 megapixels back camera and a 12 megapixels ultra-wide front-facing camera. It's too early to tell for sure, but early iPad Mini 7 rumors hint that it may integrate technologies like Photonic Engine and ProRes video recording. Following the iPad Mini 6 design update, the iPad Mini 7 is likely to keep the same look. This includes the all-screen appearance with squared-off borders, which corresponds with Apple's current design language across its products. Apple is likely to continue selling a basic model with 64 gigs of internal storage, with a higher-end 256 gigs version still available, consistent with its regular storage options. While the iPad Mini's tiny design restricts battery capacity, Apple is likely to maximize battery life, perhaps equal or slightly surpassing the 8-hour use observed in the current generation. While the design stays the same, new color variations may be added. Speculated tones include those comparable to the newest iPad models, such as cool colors like yellow or a rich, wine-like crimson. Price reports regarding the Apple iPad Mini 7 unsurprisingly point to a $499 starting point for the Wi-Fi variant, identical to the iPad Mini 6. The Wi-Fi Plus cellular variant is projected to begin at $649. Apple is unlikely to hike the price considerably for an iterative version, keeping the iPad mini 7 within a familiar and accessible price range. Now let us chat about what we hope to see in the future iPad mini 7. The iPad mini 2021 is a terrific slate, but with the following upgrades, the iPad mini 7 would be considerably better yet. So here are some of the things we wish to see. 1. Better battery life. In our assessment, we discovered that the iPad mini 2021's battery life was decent but not outstanding. It would last roughly 8 hours with intense usage, and maybe even less when the Apple Pencil was added to the mix. The size of the tablet may be a limiting issue here, as there could just not be room for a much larger battery, but the reality is that the likes of the iPad Pro 11 2021 give greater life. So we'd want Apple to try and make some improvements here for the iPad mini 2024. 2. More power. The iPad mini 2021 isn't exactly lacking in power. After all, it has the same CPU as the iPhone 13. But it only has 4 gigs of RAM, and although its processor is powerful, it's no match for the M1 in the current iPad Pro versions. This is of course a balance for Apple. Supercharge the iPad mini too much, and the price will inevitably go up, but we imagine there must be a market for a powerful slate with a small screen. So we'd like to see Apple lean into that for the next model, even if it also launches a less powerful version. 3. A stylus in the package. The Apple Pencil is a significant accessory for the iPad mini, with the 2021 edition even having a socket and charger for it on the right side of the slate, although the Apple Pencil doesn't really come with a tablet. Instead, you have to purchase everything individually, and at quite a hefty expense. This isn't so shocking when you consider that none of Apple's tablets come with a pen in the box, but the necessity to purchase one makes the entire price of the iPad mini 2021 much less enticing. Plus, some competitor slates such as the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 do come with a pen integrated, so we'd love to see Apple do the same with the iPad mini 7. 4. Face ID. Despite having a somewhat contemporary design, with no home button, the iPad mini 2021 still depends on a fingerprint reader, one embedded into the power button on the top edge. This isn't a horrible alternative, but we'd love to see Apple offer Face ID on the iPad mini 7. If it can preserve the fingerprint scanner as well so people have alternatives, then all the better, but that's unlikely to happen. 5. mmWave support. The iPad mini 2021 optionally comes with 5G capability, but what it doesn't have is mmWave support. This is a high-frequency variant of 5G that delivers significantly better download speeds, and it's maybe not that strange that it isn't supported, given most nations have little to no mmWave infrastructure, and even in the US it's fairly restricted. But support for it would be convenient for those regions that do have it, and it would help future-proof the slate, since mmWave coverage is certain to grow over time. So we hope to see this given by the iPad mini 2024. One extremely early iPad mini 2024 leak highlighted several of the probable specifications. Apparently, the tablet will sport an 8.3-inch 120Hz screen, an A15 Bionic processor, like the current model, albeit with a slightly faster 3.23 GHz clock speed, 4 gigs of RAM, and a starting storage of 128 gigs, up from 64 gigs on the current edition. However, given the source doesn't yet have a track record, and as this is now a very old leak, we'd take this with a grain of salt. More lately, we've heard that the iPad mini 7 would feature a new processor, but a similar design to the present device, so it may not be a major update. We've also heard whispers of a new chipset from Mark Gurman in his wiki for Bloomberg. Gurman has subsequently stated that a new iPad mini would soon emerge with support for Apple Intelligence, which would need an A17 Pro chipset or higher, or one of Apple's M-series chipsets. Whether it's worth the wait for a new iPad mini 2024 edition depends on how anxious you are to have a new tiny tablet. While the iPad mini 7 won't have huge advancements like an OLED screen or 120Hz ProMotion, the changes might still be important if you're using an earlier model or contemplating a transition from a larger iPad. But if you currently possess the iPad mini 6 or any tablet you're content with, you won't find many reasons to upgrade. However, if you are seeking for an economical starting point, The current iPad mini 6 prices are decreasing quickly, giving a cost-effective option for those anxious to upgrade today. Whether the iPad mini 7 is the perfect choice for you depends on your existing devices and future demands. For example, if you purchase a 6.9-inch iPhone 16 Pro Max later this year, you would gain minimal value from an 8.3-inch iPad mini 7. So the major issue is, who is the primary demographic for the tiny iPad? The Apple product line is starting to appear congested with 4 distinct iPads, 5 iPhones, and a lengthy number of MacBooks. But ultimately, it's all about providing people alternatives. And as Steve Jobs famously remarked, if you don't cannibalize yourself, someone else will. With Apple, it is always a mystery package until launch. So chances are we won't know the entire specifications until the iPad mini 7 release date is upon us. But those of us who appreciate small tablets will find the wait worthwhile. So that's all we have for now on iPad mini 7 tablet. Stay tuned to our channel for more updates on this exciting tech. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified when we post new videos. Thanks for watching. Then I will see you in the next one.